Welcome, football fans, to another edition of IDP Plus Bets. I'm your host, the Degen Doc, as always, and we got a very special edition today, very special episode, because we are talking about the United Football League Championship game. That is correct, the last and final episode of the season for the UFL. That's right, baby. It's championship season, the Super Bowl of the UFL. Look, folks, it's championship weeks. We're playing for all the marbles, all right? We are playing for this beautiful, beautiful inaugural first-time UFL trophy, folks. I hope you're just as jacked up as I am. We have a great matchup with the Birmingham Stallions, the Titans of spring football, two-time defending USFL champions, now trying to go for the UFL crown, taking on the San Antonio Brahmas. The Cinderella story, the team picked to finish last in the entire league, now has a great shot at winning it all. We've got an absolute great game. We got a great game to break down, and of course, we've got a great game to make some money on, folks. Look, we had a nice, profitable week last week because San Antonio came through for us. Let's go ahead and do a quick recap like we like to do here of last week's games. Only 2 games because it was playoff times. Starting off with that first game on Saturday, the USFL Conference Championship, the Michigan Panthers taking on the Birmingham Stallions. We were riding Michigan. I loved both the dogs. Well, I like both the dogs and the unders. One game it came through beautifully. The other, it did not go so well. Man, Michigan really had Birmingham on the ropes. They were up 18-3 late in the second quarter, and they just kind of let it slip away. They did not score another point from that, as you can see, since that point, and really turnovers killed them. I mean, there was a crazy third quarter where there was 6 turnovers. 3 by each of the teams. I mean, they had a pick 6 to tie the game. Birmingham's defense really got them going when that offense was struggling. But hey, as you can tell, that's not the UFL MVP on the screen there. That is Mr. Matty Corral, backup quarterback who got benched for Adrian Martinez. And then now, kind of role reversal, right? Martinez was struggling. Skip Holtz decided to bench him. And they brought in Matt Corral. Matt Corral got it done. He stepped up. So hats off to them. We got more about that as far as Birmingham quarterback situation. Obviously, a big question there. We got a couple answers, but interesting point. But moving on to the next game, the Sunday game, the game that really helped us cash out and kind of have a nice profitable week there, hitting San Antonio +3, San Antonio money line +140, and the under 44 there as the Brahmas went into the Battle Dome and really took it to the St. Louis Battlehawks. I mean, a couple of takeaways. Biggest thing, like I said, I was thinking that maybe one of McFarland and Lovett can return. They both made it back to the field and made an immediate impact, rushing for over 200 yards combined between them. And that defense, that very dominant San Antonio Brahmas defense that I was talking up all last week, they let up 9 points. You see, St. Louis scored 15. They scored on a scoop and score. It was a miscommunication between Garbers and McFarland. Really, Garbers coming back from that left wrist injury. Kind of looks like it, may have led into that a little bit. Basically, just dropped the ball, kind of the exchange there. So even with that mishap, they had a 10-point win. They really were in control the entire game. San Antonio led from start to finish and really dominated. So that sets us up here for the final, the championship game, folks. We have the St. Antonio Brahmas taking on their Birmingham Stallions. You got the 1 seed and the 2 seeds here. This game is being played in St. Louis. St. Louis in that Battle Dome is where that's at. It's Sunday, June 16th, 5 p.m. Eastern on Fox there. So in St. Louis because, the UFL decided to have it in St. Louis earlier in the year. They kind of just made that decision arbitrarily. It was kind of, we'll see if it plays out. We'll see. St. Louis has by and far had the best fan base out of any of the teams. Really, it's not even close. Nearly tripling, quadrupling the amount of fans that any other team has. But, their team's not in it. And I know there's a lot of people hoping for that, but the team's not in it. So we'll see. Really got to step up. Birmingham Stallions and Brahmas fans, man, I get it for St. Louis fans. Like, if your team's not in it, I don't think anyone's going to blame you. However, on the flip side, if you enjoy the UFL, I think this is going to be a great game. The tickets are really cheap. So if you're anywhere near the area and you want to go watch a really good football game for a championship, I think our tickets were like $5 or something like that. I mean, hey, it's Father's Day. Make that call. Bring the fam over. For $20, you can get family 4 into the game and watch a really, really solid football game. So if you're in the area, I encourage you to come out. But we're talking about the game. We're talking about this breakdown here. And look, Birmingham has lost once this season. They have 1 L. They are coming in at 10-1, while San Antonio is 8-3. Do we know who that one loss was to? Right on the screen there, the San Antonio Brahmas. Only 2 weeks ago in week 9, they went and got it done in the Alamo Dome there. So, I think that 2 weeks ago, right? This was not like early in the season, a lot of things changing. They dominated them. I went back and looked at that game. 18-9 was the score. San Antonio 18, obviously. Birmingham 9. Again, defense led up 9 points, 1 touchdown allowed to the number 1 offense in the league. And San Antonio outgained them and outplayed them. It was not a fluke situation where they lost, on a last-second field goal or anything crazy like that. Like, they outplayed them for the entire game. Their defense, held them down, held that awesome offense down. So I do not think that was a fluke. I think that's a little bit of foreshadowing of something we could see for this championship game. Now, talking about this game, getting into it a little bit more. We'll start with the San Antonio side. I typically am a guy who likes to look at the injury reports, practice reports, depth charts, things like that, like most people should. Given my profession as a physical therapist, I like to see what people are dealing with to kind of get an idea who's going to be out there. I think that is important. However, the UFL clearly does not agree because they, it's Thursday night is when I'm recording this. They have not put out any practice reports, any injury news or anything, really. We have very limited information regarding the availability. We can make some inferences. One thing we do know is that San Antonio will not have their kind of wide receiver 4 or 5, Landon Akers. He's suspended. No idea what that's about, but he's suspended, will not be in the championship game. Created some controversy because San Antonio then tried to sign a tight end, I think Matt Seibert, and the Birmingham Stallions complained to the league saying, hey, they lost a wide receiver. Why should they be able to go get a tight end? Well, a couple weeks ago, they lost their tight end, their starting tight end, in Cody Latimer. Cody Latimer had a season-ending neck injury. So really, Alize Mack is the only healthy tight end on the roster. That worked out for him last week, but they were trying to bring in another tight end before the championship game. And Birmingham shut that down, and the league agreed with Birmingham. So Birmingham, in my opinion, won the league catering to, daddy's little girl, or whatever you want to call him, the little golden child there. But I think Birmingham's a little scared, right? You're worried about a backup tight end coming in a weekend. Really gotta throw a fit about it. To that point, hey, you know what? More fuel for the fire, baby. Bulletin board material, because I think that's a very weak move by Birmingham, but hey, it is what it is. I don't think it really would have mattered. Backup tight end, a backup wide receiver. They were not. I wouldn't expect them to get a lot of playing time in this game. So I think all in all, it was a story because there's not a lot going on in the league because there's only one game. But I don't think it's going to affect the game much. But also on the San Antonio side, starting cornerback Bo Keith. What is it? Bo Keys, excuse me. He's got a little bit of an interesting name, but he's slot corner for them. He was out with an illness. He had practiced the first 2 games and came down with illness, was ruled out of the game last week. So it was kind of a question of who's going to, they really have 3 really strong cornerbacks, and Keys is one of them. With him being out, it was a question of who's going to be in the slot. They held up pretty well against St. Louis, but obviously I would expect him to be back, right? I don't know. I'm assuming it's not a crazy illness and he'll be good to go for this week. So that'll be a boost. It looks like San Antonio should actually be a little bit healthier. And you did have Chase Garbers, John Lovett, Anthony McFarland all play when they came in as questionable, which was huge. They all played a massive role. Your starting quarterback went for over 200 yards, player of the game, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And you had McFarland and Lovett. Again, they were a huge part of the offense, 200 yards between the 2 of those guys. So that was the bulk of the offense. Those 3 guys, they all played, even though they were a little banged up. Another week to get healthier. So that is really, I really like where San Antonio's at from a health standpoint. And on the Birmingham side, they came into last week pretty healthy. Only, starting cornerback Mark Gilbert was out. He's been out for a little while, so I think they were able to kind of make that work. But, they were a little susceptible through the air. That first half especially, Michigan moved up and down the field. Siosu Mariner and Marcus Sims really balled out for that receiving core. Again, first half, it did not last in the second. So, that secondary looked a little bit shaky. So we'll see if Gilbert's able to play. Again, I wish I had some news. I'm sure it'll come out tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be a depth chart magically appear like it did for the San Antonio game. I mean, all right. This might be a little bit of soapboxy, so just buckle up for a second. I mean, look, you're trying to be a legitimate league, right? I really enjoy the UFL. Clearly, you see me talking about it. I watched all the games. I love football, so if it's going to be, especially any type of professional football, I'm there for it. But man, they've done a lot of good things, but this is ridiculous. I know I watch the practice reports and injury reports more than most, but there's just no consistency even throughout the year. But the playoffs have been worse. How are you have less teams? You got more eyeballs on you. How are you going to be worse, right? The NFL has a great model, right? Games on Sunday. So you got your Wednesday practice report, you got your Thursday practice reports, you got your Friday practice report, then you get your game statuses, inactives, right? They had it down, right? It should be Wednesday practice report, released Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday, you release that Friday practice report, you got game statuses, and then you do the depth chart either Friday night or Saturday morning, right? Should be very simple. It should be on a schedule. I have no idea what's going on there. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to assume that these teams are mostly healthy just based off of last week's games and the last week's injury reports there. All right, let's look into a little bit of kind of on paper on the stats of what we're looking at. And we're looking at the number one defense in the league against the number one offense in the league. I mean, it's good on good. It's best on best, right? And, for me personally, defense wins championships, right? They don't say it for any reason. In this matchup, the defense won last time, right? If you give up 9 points to the number one offense in the league, your offense better win that battle, right? And they did last time they played. But on the Birmingham side, right? They've lit everybody up. They've looked really good. Adrian Martinez, I mentioned, the league's MVP, rightfully so. Absolutely deserves it based on what he's done this year. However, this is still the same Adrian Martinez who struggled at Nebraska, struggled really, K-State, he did definitely play better, but still in the big moments, he had turnover issues. He had issues locking in, looking to run too fast. And that was really what we saw come out in the first half against Michigan that led to him getting benched. Now, we'll head over here to bring up what Skip Holtz said. So, this is from UFL board. They said Birmingham head coach Skip Holtz on a starting quarterback. He said, Adrian's our starting quarterback right now. Adrian will be the quarterback. I don't know what's going to happen the third or fourth series. That is not what I want to hear about my starting quarterback going into the championship game. I don't know who's going to be in there the third or fourth series. Maybe he's just looking to motivate him, but I mean, we saw he's got a pretty, obviously has a short leash. He pulled him in the playoff game, right? Worked out well for him. Matt Corral came in and looked better. Now, ultimately, I do think Adrian Martinez, if I was San Antonio, I would much rather be playing Matt Corral. I think, Corral, when the games that he played and he started, he did not look overly impressive to me. Adrian Martinez has that wow factor. He has that escapability. You're going to be playing a very, very good San Antonio defensive line. You have to be mobile and make magic happen. Martinez has that ability, but obviously he's got the lows too, right? So it's going to be interesting. I think, is he going to be tense and nervous because he knows that he's got Corral right over his shoulder in the biggest moment that Martinez has had this year? Or, is he going to step up to the challenge? But I think that anytime you got quarterback questions going into the championship game, that's not a good sign. Meanwhile, on the other side, Chase Garbers, whenever he's been healthy, he's started. He's healthy. He's going to start. And he's looked good. He's looked really good. Again, I mentioned that fumble. That was an awful play. But other than that, he had a really solid game. He did throw one interception. The safety there, I think Quantarius Cole for the St. Louis Battlehawks made a hell of a play at the end zone. He had an interception in the red zone. going to the tight end there over the middle. He just kind of, it was a really good play. So I think Garbers has played really well since he's been back. And again, another week to get healthier. So this is going to be such a good game, man. I hope you're just as jacked up as I am. Again, I think these are the two best teams. I think it's hopefully going to be a great environment. Tom Brady's going to be in the building. He's going to be handing off that MVP award, the UFL Championship MVP. So, not the MVP for the season's already been handed out. But Tom Brady's in the building, man. I hope St. Louis packs that Battle Dome. I mean, really, again, I hope the Birmingham and San Antonio fans travel and show that, they want this game. This is a big game for the cities, right? So, man, I'm very excited for this one. So, about that time, I know you probably already know where I'm going with this, right? San Antonio. So Birmingham's favored by 3.5 in this game. Over under is 42 right now. Again, according to Thursday night, and the money line on San Antonio is plus 150. It opened up at -3, plus 140. It's got a lot of money coming in on Birmingham. I get it. They've looked really good. They've looked like the most complete team throughout the season. I will disagree on the later half of the season. I think Birmingham has skated by. They've really not looked like a dominant team other than one half of football in the last 3 weeks, right? You had, the loss to San Antonio. Then you had Michigan, who they really got outgained and dominated by, but Michigan just can't score a damn touchdown, and they just relied on field goals, and Michigan missed the game-winning field goal, right? They really should have lost that game. And then you had last week, where the first half they looked awful, and then they had a good second half. I will give them that. They had one good half of football in the last 3 weeks. Whereas you have San Antonio, who's just looked dominant. Their defense especially has been on fire, right? You hold Birmingham to the 9 points. You hold St. Louis's good offense to 13 when you have to go to your backup quarterback and you don't have either of your running backs, your starting running backs. We see how much of an impact they have. And then you go out there and you dominate that St. Louis team on the road in their home environment. I mean, San Antonio has played in this dome 2 weeks in a row. It's going to be a third week in a row playing in the St. Louis Battlehawk Dome. You might as well call it their home, right? They got the last W on there. So give me the San Antonio Brahmas to cover the 3.5 and give me the San Antonio Brahmas on the money line plus 150. Look, over under, not really messing with the total of this game. And, by the way, last week I was on here. I have the San Antonio future at plus 650. I told y'all last week to jump on that future. There's no way. They were the dark horse out of all 4 teams left in the playoffs, plus 650. I thought that was crazy. So obviously I'm not going to be going against that too. So hopefully you're on with that with me as well. But hey, even a 3.5, I think at very worst, this is a tight field goal game. I think the 3.5 is very generous. And of course, I'm on the money line, man. I'm all in on San Antonio. I said that last week, saying it again. We are not shying away from these little ponies down in Birmingham. But either way, it's going to be a really, really solid game there. All right, folks, we are typically done, but DraftKings, who I mainly use and where these odds are coming from, gave us a gift. They gave us some anytime touchdowns and burst touchdowns. Like, kid in a candy store right now, right? Christmas morning. That is just an absolute gift for the championship game. Finally, right? This would have been awesome all year, but hey, we take what we can get. But before we get to that, I got to tell you about some of our sponsors really quick here at IDP Plus Pros. So we're talking about, hey, talking about football, talking about first touchdowns, anytime touchdowns. That sounds like the NFL to me. And right around the corner is the Fantasy Football Expo out in Canton, Ohio there. I know you guys probably already got your tickets, but hey, if you need another reason to come join us Saturday, August 10th at the Brew Kettle next to the Pro Football Hall of Fame for a drafting extravaganza. And for the first time ever, IDP Plus is hosting an IDP League. So be a part of history. For my knowledge, the first IDP live draft at the Fantasy Football Expo. So make sure you're a part of it. We're going to have that link in the show description. Also, Trophy Smack, our friends over at Trophy Smack. Listen, we're just talking about NFL's right around the corner. It is fantasy football draft season. You got to get over to some Trophy Smack and get their gorgeous draft boards, player stickers. If you're going to do it big, do it all out. And for the first time, Trophy Smack has an IDP expansion pack for all us defensive nerds. From what I know, they're the only one in the business with an IDP names and stickers there. So, hey, make those drafts just as fun as those offensive sickos on the other side there. We will have that link also in the show notes. And finally, summer is right around the corner. If it's not already here, I don't know where you're at, but I know it's getting real hot by me. So it's a perfect time for a vacation. You got Father's Day coming up. You got a lot of good things to look forward to this summer. Everybody loves going on vacation. Nobody likes planning for them. You don't want to have the 50 tabs open, trying to get a good deal here or there. Just go to Expedia, your one-stop shop for all of the travel plans. And because you're a fan of us, we're a fan of you. So we are, as an affiliate sponsor of Expedia, have our own little link that you can use for exclusive discounts and savings. So we're going to drop that in the show notes as well. All right, folks, we are coming back. Again, we talked about the game breakdown. We gave you the best bet. And now we're going over to a nice little Degen section that they just added. We're talking about touchdown scores, anytime touchdown scores, and first-time touchdown scores, right? So, of course, with this being the first time, absolutely geeked out, kind of try to dig into the numbers here. So let's look at it kind of holistically and come down from there. I got 4 guys that I like. I didn't mention this, but again, I'm staying away from the total here. But being that I like San Antonio, they're led by their defense. If I had to, I would lean the under there. So I don't think there's going to be a ton of touchdowns, but I think there's 4 guys worth taking a shot on here. So first, let's start from the kind of that top view down. All right, Birmingham. Offense has put up 31 total touchdowns this year. So these stats are going to be just through the regular season, not through the playoffs. Playoffs were not included in this, but 31 total touchdowns during the season in 10 games, and they've given up 20 total touchdowns. So on the offensive side of the ball, 17 passing touchdowns, 14 rushing touchdowns. Fairly balanced, a little more passing, right? Now, let's look at the San Antonio defense on the other side there. San Antonio's defense is only giving up 12 touchdowns. 12 touchdowns in 10 games. That's pretty insane. And 9 passing touchdowns, but only 3 rushing touchdowns. So, obviously, very stout on the ground. 3 rushing touchdowns. They did not give up a rushing touchdown last week. So, 3 rushing touchdowns in 11 games. Pretty insane. And then including last week, only 10 passing touchdowns there. So obviously, if you're going to score on San Antonio, it's hard to do, but it's more likely through the air. Over on the Birmingham side, again, they were pretty balanced on offense. Their defense, they've given up 20 touchdowns total, so still very good. 12 through the air and 8 on the ground. So, a little bit closer to balance, leaning towards the pass defense being a little bit worse, but much more kind of a normal ratio there, where the San Antonio offense is 14 passing touchdowns and 10 rushing touchdowns for a total of 24. So they lean a little bit pass as well. So that's going to take us into what I like. So I've got 4 plays here. We're going to go anytime touchdown. I like these guys to score. And then I'm also going to be sprinkling a little bit on the first touchdown for all these guys. Essentially going to take a unit, break it up into quarters, and bet a little bit on each of these guys for a first touchdown because the price is obviously jacked up a little bit. So first guy I like, Anthony McFarland. Anthony McFarland. He, if you watched that game last week, clearly looked like the best player on the field. Absolutely explosive. Obviously a guy who has time in the NFL with the Steelers, was a draft pick, was with them for 3 years, kind of had a little bit of injuries, got buried by Najee Harris and a couple other guys there. But he's electric. I know he's only played 5 games this year, so he dealt with an injury, but he's back and healthy. And in those 5 games in the regular season, he had 1 rushing touchdown. He also had 1 last week, but he tied for leading the team with 3 receiving touchdowns. So Birmingham, a little bit susceptible both on the ground, in the air. Again, they're a good defense, but still, 8-12 let up this year. So I think if McFarland, he was the RB1 last week. So if you're getting the starting running back to that plus money, Anthony McFarland to score 1 anytime touchdown is plus 115. So to get him, the starting running back, at plus money, I understand John Levitt is definitely going to be involved, as he should be, but you also have a clear receiving threat in McFarland. So I like him to, whether it's on the ground or through the air, I like that at plus 115. Also, first touchdown is plus 650. We're only going to go up higher in odds from here, folks. The next guy I like in the odds there is over on the Birmingham side, and that is Jay Sternberger, tight end for them at plus 185 anytime touchdown and a plus 900 first touchdown. Look, Jay Sternberger tied for the Birmingham Stallions leaders as far as reception touchdowns. I've actually got both of the guys on that list in here. I just talked about it, right? If you're going to score on San Antonio, it is likely going to be through the air. Only 9 passing touchdowns, but only 3 rushing touchdowns given up all year, right? All year. So, if you're going to score on them, I think it's going to be through the air. Last time these two teams played, Sternberger was really the only offense for Birmingham. He had over 100 yards, 7 catches, and a touchdown. To get him at almost 2-1, plus 185, and 9-1 as a first touchdown, I think that is a very, very nice play there for Sternberger. And then also his running mate on the offense there, wide receiver Marlon Williams. This receiving core is a little bit of a committee, but Marlon Williams was, again, tied with Sternberger with 4 receiving touchdowns on the year. He's plus 225 anytime touchdown and 11-1 on the first touchdown. Again, very similar. You have a guy who has done this during the season. They're susceptible. Susceptible is maybe not the best word, but they're a little bit more susceptible through the air than on the ground if you're going to score on San Antonio. So I like Marlon Williams there and Jay Sternberger for the Birmingham. And then to wrap it up, San Antonio tight end. Again, the only active tight end on the San Antonio roster, Alize Mack, plus 225 anytime touchdown and 11-1 first touchdown. Dude, I tell you, he was the only active tight end on this roster, right? Red zone and tight ends, peanut butter, jelly, right? They mix very well. This guy has 8 catches on the year. 2 of them are for touchdowns. 1/4 of all of his catches this season are for touchdowns. And Garbers, on the play, he threw an interception in the red zone, in the end zone, I believe. He was going to Alize Mack. They kind of ran a little, a fake in front of him, and he pulled it and was going to sling it right over the middle. He was open. He just needed to get some touch on it, float it over the defender. He kind of did a bullet pass. Cole made a great play, stepped in front of it. But Alize Mack, I think that if it's not McFarland, Alize Mack is a great chance to score there. Again, quarterbacks love tight ends in the red zone. Big target. And if you're going to go tight end on San Antonio, Alize Mack is the only one you got. So we will do a quick wrap up of all the bets that I gave out, and then we are going to get out of here, folks. We're going to get some sleep, get ready for this UFL Championship game. So we talked about granddaddy of them all, the UFL Championship, playing for all these new marbles that we got out there for this first season of the league. I love the San Antonio Brahmas plus 3.5. San Antonio on the money line at plus 150. And of course, we're all riding that plus 650 future we gave out last week. And for your touchdown scorers, we have Anthony McFarland at plus 115 anytime, 650, plus 650 first touchdown. We've got Jay Sternberger plus 185 anytime touchdown, 9-1 first touchdown. Birmingham wide receiver Marlon Williams plus 225 anytime touchdown, 11-1 first touchdown. And to wrap us up, San Antonio tight end, the only tight end on the roster, Alize Mack plus 225 and 11-1 as a first touchdown, folks. That takes us off here for our best bets for the championship game. We hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Father's Day. Shout out to all the fathers there. Cheers. Enjoy yourself. Have a great time. Watch some damn good football, which I think we're going to have. And before we wrap up, just want to mention, again, Underdog Fantasy. I'm a big proponent of them. It allows for player props, essentially. You can go higher or lower. Hit this nice 6x times the money there. 2 weeks ago, they usually put their things out on Friday afternoon. So I would love to give a play out here, but stuff's not out yet. So make sure you follow me on X over at the Degen Doc. Same thing here at the Degen Doc. And I will be giving out Underdog Play of the Week for this championship game. Definitely. And make sure you listen for promo code SGPN Doc. Get you a free $100 there on the Underdog Fantasy. All right, folks. I think that's about it. I hope that if you weren't jacked up before, that you're jacked up now. And if you couldn't tell, look, I'm riding with the superstition here. I compared the Brahmas to the Giants in this exact same shirt last week. It paid off for us. What's one more time? All right, folks. Hope you have a great week. Enjoy the week. Enjoy the game. And happy Father's Day to all those dads out there. Degen Doc, out of here.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.